everybody. Welcome to Tadaima, a Terrace House Podcast, your weekly companion to your favorite show on Netflix. I am Robert Scarpanito, and I am joined here by Daily Wilhelm.
Konbanwa.
Colin Sparling.
Hi there.
And Jack Cepeda.
Irrashaimase, everybody. Shout out to my homies in Germany, Australia, and the UK, and of course, North America. What's up, guys?
I wasn't expecting you to do me second. I was kind of really put off by that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either. I was just looking at your face, and then when you do the whole face to name thing, and it's like, oh well, we're going with it.
I was like, think of something funny, think of something funny, think of something funny, and then it was just like, nope.
And there was nothing.
There was nothing. Blank.
Then you said, Robert did you second. I was like, oh.
Well, I guess while we're shouting out countries, I also want to shout out Vietnam because I have a couple friends who downloaded from there. So shout out to that.
Hey, what up, Vietnam?
Yeah, what up? Today we are talking about episode 39 of Terrace House opening new doors, like a long spell of autumn rain. Such a calming name for an episode.
That sounds like an emo song or an indie song if I've ever heard one.
Something by Hawthorne Heights.
No, either that or some independent indie artist that plays nothing but acoustic guitar and it's just him singing in a really quiet voice.
It's Shohei's new career.
Yes.
Oh, it's Shohei's new single. Like a long spell of autumn rain.
It sounds
by
like
1989.
She was.
She was.
Guys, did you see on Reddit that apparently Santa and Noah are still together?
Good for them.
I did see that, and I was like, screw you guys.
How long has it been then?
It's been since July? August?
Around that? I mean, it's been a while, about half a year.
I said earlier, I give them 6 months. Yeah, I give them 6 months, so they're right on the edge here. There's still hope they could break up.
There's still hope. Why is it hope?
I don't know. I guess while we're talking about them, I've kind of been reflecting, right? And I think maybe they're gonna last.
No way.
Here's my new theory.
Oh, here we go. The theory 2.0.
They're gonna get married and both become disillusioned with their lives, but too afraid to divorce each other.
But then Sana will never be on Terrace House ever again.
No, she's still married, but she just shows up to Terrace House.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I'm actually here to cheat on my current husband.
Yeah, live on national TV.
And then Noah comes too, and they just cheat on each other the entire time.
And then Noah had a kid and then got divorced, and then he's the new Sota.
And then yoga.
Oh, shit. Dude, that'd be wild. So Noah becomes a new when I was your age. I married Sana.
When I was your age, I married Sana-san.
Then flashback 18 years into the future, and he DMs his son on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Yikes.
So we also learned that now that we're on the subject of Christmas, this is a very Christmas-themed picture that Santa and Noah posted on their Instagram. I guess Terrace House is ending by Christmas. They're done shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the panelists announced that earlier today. Well, not earlier today. Earlier in the episode, right? They're saying that this show will end on Christmas. This series will.
Right.
And also, according to Japanese Rolling Stones, they've published that episode 49 will be the last episode of Opening New Doors.
Oh, man, it's happening.
Episode 49 will be the last episode.
So we only have 10 more spoiler casts after today, folks.
So that means part 6 is going to be 9 episodes long.
Very likely.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm going to miss Karuizawa.
Same.
Yeah, it's grown on me a lot.
Yeah, I just really want that house. I think this is the house that I've wanted the most out of all of them, out of all the Terrace House that I've watched so
Easily.
far. It's a beautiful house.
After they move out on Christmas Day, put your bid up. You know?
I was thinking that house is going to be expensive. Whoever buys it next, it's going to be.
Can someone loan me I don't know, 20 billion yen? Yeah, something like that.
Sure. I got you.
Just enough to cover your first mortgage.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
So we start this episode in the kitchen with Risako, Kaito, Aio, and Maya. And here Aio is he seems a little disillusioned and bummy with life now that everything he's known and loved since the age of 3 has come shattering around him. And he talks about how he's thinking about being a soccer coach for the kids, which I could see that.
That was such a cute visual in my head when he said that. I was like, aw.
Yeah. And this kind of piggybacks off where Maya said that Yui told her that Yui thought it was cute when Kaito high-fived a bunch of kids in the skate park while skating, which I don't think we talked about in the last episode.
He high-fived the baby.
we left it out. Somehow we overlooked it.
Yeah. No, it was fun. He just went up to the kid. I mean, if I saw a kid in skate park, I probably would avoid it because I'd be scared I'd run into it.
And run into it. The kid.
It is an object.
The object in that stroller, ma'am.
Me on skateboard is just no recipe for,
Get
children
that
in proximity.
thing out of my skate park.
Jack, would you be the kind of person where your skateboard is a he, but anyone else's baby is an it?
What am I, like Cruella de Vil and like their Dalmatians or some shit? Like, no, I'd be scared. That's all of injuring the child. Okay, guys.
Yeah. Every time I hear or think or see skateboarding, I just instantly Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine plays in my head.
Yeah.
The Tony Hawk
Skater
reference
2
yes. Soundtrack is just so well ingrained in my head. That just happens every time.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah. And at this point, Maya and Kaito go into the playroom to watch a movie together. And we cut to them. They're probably partway through the movie. And it's kind of a weird energy between the two, right? Is it just me?
Yeah,
No.
they
Yeah.
get into like a really uncomfortable conversation about sex. And Maya's like, yeah, I don't like sex.
What the hell?
And then Kaito's like, well, I mean, I like sex,
Yeah, I'm a dude.
I mean,
It's a very not nuanced way to put it.
yeah.
Yo, that was a revelation.
They said like something along the lines of, oh, look, they're French kissing. Isn't French kissing the best? It was just really, I don't know. It was a weird energy there, like you guys are saying.
Oh man, I mean, she did say that she has considered women, and she said she's dropped a lot of hints. Like she, tends to date guys that she talks to a lot, which to me means that she definitely needs to be friends first and be comfortable around someone before she can date them. She's never really felt that like lusty, like, oh, I want to date that guy right away, just based on kind of carnal instinct. It's more like an emotional thing. So, so that was one thing, and just her saying that she's never really, she's considering women, of course. She just flat out said that. It just is pointing to me like, okay, if she doesn't even enjoy sex, then yeah, probably she is, bisexual.
Right.
So.
I think it sounds like a bad experience. Like maybe she's had bad experiences, or maybe that's what she's making her think. She's like, maybe she's just uncomfortable. Like when she's had sex in the past, it just hasn't been a good experience for her, even if it was okay sex. Maybe something like that. Maybe it was just like she's not into it.
Yeah, maybe she's had some like inconsiderate boyfriends in the past.
That too.
There's definitely physical compatibility can be hard for women. And maybe she just straight up doesn't like sex. Like maybe she wouldn't even like sex with a woman. Maybe she's asexual.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is there's a chance, right? She could be asexual.
See,
Absolutely.
I feel
You can't discredit that.
I feel some noise in the channel here because it's like if I was Kaito, right, and I was sitting there and she said that, I would take that kind of like, oh, she doesn't like me at all, because you know what I mean, like she doesn't care. I guess, you know what I mean, like I would be like, oh, I guess we can never date then. I don't know, is that cool?
Oh, I see. So she's kind of burning that bridge. Is that how you see it?
I mean, I just look at like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if a girl said that to me, that I was considering dating and we're sitting there watching a movie. She's like, I don't like sex. To me, that's kind of like I don't know. It just seems
That's
like
a deal
something
breaker?
you wouldn't say something to someone. You wouldn't say that to someone you like or I'm trying to date, I guess. Would you? Am I weird?
I mean, maybe that's just being like honest. Maybe that's being forthcoming so that he knows that ahead of time should they date.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
And I mean, also, this could just be stemming from confusion on Maya's part, right? Because, I mean, again, just going back to the possible theory, she might be asexual. Like, America's already a pretty, like, oh, you have to like sex. Like, of course you like sex. Sex sells, right? And Japan is kind of even worse for that, considering, there's still, like, a lot of, like, there's a lot more emphasis on gender roles. So I feel like maybe in Japan, it's just like, well, of course you like sex, right? And so to her, the concept of not liking sex isn't really like there isn't a word for that to her, if that makes sense.
I saw on Reddit the other day that Durex did a survey in Japan, and only 24% of people who were surveyed said that they were satisfied with their sex life.
Whoa.
Oof.
So maybe she's just part of that percentage.
Yeah. And you bring up an interesting point there, Robert. We're talking about kind of like Japanese sexual culture overall. So they have some weird intricacies when it comes to that compared to North America, right? Like, so for instance, there is a law that all phones have to have a shutter sound when you take a picture because of the upskirt issues and like the peeping Tom issues that they have. So you know how in North America you can like take a silent photo, right? If you have your phone muted, it doesn't make that shutter sound. That does not exist for Japanese iPhones or other cell phones. They have to have an audible noise even if they're muted if you're taking photos. And it's just like, yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing that seems a lot different, I guess, than the culture here in America.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's also the whole thing with Japanese culture and how busy they are too, right? Being so career oriented, so that kind of also play into that 24% number, where some people just like don't have time to have relations, period, because they're just so busy with their professional lives too.
They don't have time to sleep.
A big epidemic, right? Yeah, I mean they use the other time to sleep, and that's essentially it.
Yeah, wasn't there a Twitter account or an Instagram account like Japanese people sleeping? It's just like passed out businessmen on the ground.
Yeah, salary man just like passed out because, I mean, like karoshi is a really big issue. Like death from overwork is a real thing. And even if like there is a cutoff as to like when you're working, then there's like an outside expectation of like, oh, well, you need to go out with everyone, like drinking at the bars because, you know, that's your family, that's your work family, and you have
Social
to,
pressure.
you know, dedicate yourself to that. And along with that, even if people are dating, I mean, rice paper walls, and typically people are expected to be like living with their parents for a longer time than necessarily here. So it's hard to have sex in Japan is what I think we're getting at here.
Yeah, good point.
Same.
Huh.
Same for Robert.
Same. Yeah, I'm living in Japan.
I was like, I feel you.
I found out. I've been living in Japan this whole time, guys.
Said same. Appreciate the transparency there, Robert Scarpanito.
Transparency, like rice paper thin walls.
Yes.
Hey.
Anyway, let's skip to Yui and Sota talking about career stuff in the kitchen.
Well, actually, I kind of want to go back though to that scene because we talked a lot about sex, right? Because sex sells, but there's an interesting like emotional moment there between the two, I think, where Maya's like kind of trying to prod into Kaito, asking like, "Hey, so you like Yui, basically, right? Like,
Oh, that's right.
You think Yui's cute?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I think you're cute too."
Balls.
And I'm just like kind of confused because also like, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's still into Risako too, right?
He's not into any of the girls. He's keeping all his
yeah, he's like, I think you
open.
all are cute, and he's just whatever.
He's like trying to build three bridges at once, and it's I like my thoughts on Kaito now are very different after this episode than they were before.
He's allowed to like multiple girls. He's not dating anybody.
Yeah.
Who
No,
cares?
yeah.
I don't blame him. They all are really cute, and he does have amicable relationships with all of them. I guess maybe it's unfair of us to already have placed the expectation just because of what has happened to Yui in the past that he has to be like the exception to that rule that's happened to her before with Noah.
Good point. And also, I'm not convinced that Yui likes him that much. Still, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to really tell when she likes anyone. It's kind of hard to tell when she's giving any kind of feeling.
She needs to be evil to another girl in the house for me to really know.
There you
my
go.
God.
That's what we need. That's what the next episode is going to be, the final clash.
I'm glad we're not getting, Mayu versus Yui part 2.
Yikes.
Are you?
So yeah, let's jump to the scene that Colin was talking about earlier between Yui and Sota, right? So my first reaction to this scene is Yui is still using Internet Explorer on Windows 8. For that, she is banned from the internet.
Was it not Microsoft Edge?
No, it was still Internet Explorer.
It was
Holy
100%
crap.
Internet
Is this
Explorer.
fucking North Korea? What the hell? What is this?
I love that your standards for North Korea, they're probably modern enough to have
my
a Windows
gosh.
8 machine.
All they have in North Korea is like the Google home screen, and nothing happens if you try and search. It just is a box.
You go to North Korea, all they have is this Windows Vista?
Dude, okay. Yui lost points with me. Wow.
Yeah, I'm so glad I could shatter your dreams there.
That's fine.
And yeah, so Sota enters the room and they kind of start talking about her career. or I guess her future career. And that interview she went to in the last episode, apparently she didn't get the job, even though she was in the last stages of it, but she's fine because she realized that's not really what she wanted to do. And Sota comes in here dropping a whole lot of wisdom that I kind of wasn't expecting from him, but kind of curried some favor from me.
Yeah, I like seeing this side of Sota when he was actually playing like the Big Brother card or something like that, where he was saying that you don't have to rush into anything. Like, take your time, really figure out what you want to do. Go back to school if you have to. Just find out what you want to do. Like, I've been with this company for a while now, and like I got really lucky because I got an invitation in. And she's like, "Well, wait, didn't you have to convince them to let you in?" He's like, "Yeah, I wrote them about my invitation from someone else."
He literally wrote, "My best feature is my face."
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, and it was like, I was invited. That was it. I didn't know I was supposed to sell myself. I just said I was invited.
Yeah. But this is maybe some of the best we've seen out of Sota in this whole house, because pretty much most of it is just making kind of really mean jokes like, "Oh, you're not special. Should I be sad?" You know what I mean? He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
But here it's kind of like he's actually being a decent human being and giving someone else advice on something as important as a career.
Did you guys think, I mean, is the general consensus that it was good advice? Well, I'm struggling to like remember exactly what he said. Was it like, don't feel like you have to jump into a career right now. You have time to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Is that basically what it was?
Yeah, the TLDR was basically like, you're young, you don't need to rush, find out what you want to do. Like, if I would have had the chance to like really look at what I wanted to do, I would do it too. That sort of thing.
Yeah, especially because like Yui seemed really upset because she was like, it feels like everyone around this time of year is figuring out what they want to do with their lives and entering into careers, and I like am scrambling to keep up. And he was just kind of like, no, calm down, take things at your own pace, you have plenty of time, which is really what I think she needed to hear in that moment.
Yeah.
It seemed to help her.
Yeah, and I think it was good advice because
definitely.
I mean, yeah, especially in Asian countries, there's this whole trajectory of you go to school, and then you go to like college, and then you're in a job, and that's where you die. You know, like it's very rigid society there. I mean, here in America, it's a little looser, but there's still like a lot of emphasis here placed on like the first thing you ask someone is usually like, "Oh, what do you do? What's your career? What's your job?" Right?
Right.
And it's just nice to see someone say, "Hey, don't put so much pressure on yourself, you know, like chill."
Yeah. And I don't want to get too much into the history of Japanese culture, maybe for another show, but it's just interesting that policies that were initiated because of post-World War II Japan still have reverberations all the way here into, 2018 and beyond, where if someone has a job, they're expected to kind of be there forever, right? They'll like never get fired, essentially. And so, yeah, it's just interesting to see policies kind of persist through the decades.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, in Korea, they just passed a law where the maximum cap is 50 hours a week now. Progress.
Oh, man.
Progress.
Yep.
Progress.
I mean, since we're talking about it, I guess we're on the subject. I mean, places like Denmark, right, and like Western European democracies are, having a lot of success with the 4-day work week. Cutting out Mondays, essentially. So Monday's another day off, and they're seeing productivity actually go up, which a lot of people wouldn't have expected, but here we are.
Yeah, welcome to the economics and work policy segment of Tadaima.
This is NPR.
Yeah.
Now we're slowly putting the listener to sleep.
Oh, sorry. It's interesting to me.
ASMR.
I apologize.
So we cut to another scene in the kitchen where it's just Sota and Aio. And Ayo's kind of recounting how Maya is very dodgy with him. Like she kind of brushes him off a lot. Whenever he asks her, "Hey, let's go do something," she's kind of like, "Oh, you're a bum. You don't have a job, so it can be whenever, right?"
Yeah,
Like,
it's basically what she said. He said it in a little bit of a nicer way, but it's basically what she was saying.
Disrespect.
Right. I noticed too here in this scene, he's playing with a soccer ball at his feet, like even when he's just sitting down at the table.
Hey
right?
guys, this is my thing.
I play soccer.
There's a ball around me at all times.
For him, like just by seeing his passion for soccer, and like we get to see his chops later on in the show a little bit, like I think he'd probably make a really good soccer coach.
Maybe.
Even if like for kids.
Yeah, I really hope that turns into a thing, at least within the next episodes that we see. With the episodes that we have left, tier still sucks.
I can't imagine that paying a lot of money though. Being a
not at all.
Little league soccer coach, that sounds like something people do for free.
I think anything to get him out of the house. He does have way too much free time, and I think he feels a little depressed. Like
he needs a sabbatical. I mean, yeah, there's such thing as too much free time, but and we don't really know like how much time's gone on the show, but I mean he needs like a week or two, I would think, if he's been doing this since 3rd grade essentially.
3 years old.
3 years old, yeah. Like,
Yikes.
but yeah, he seems to be, to your point though, Daly, he does seem to be getting a little bored.
And Risako enters the room, and she and Sota are like, cool, let's go get food. Because I don't know if you remember, but at the end of the last episode, they planned on a lunch date. So they go to a place called Sheridan, I guess.
Like the hotel.
Not the hotel. Not the hotel. And they have a cute little lunch date that I think can be described as boring.
It was weird, man. I mean, dating 101, let the woman talk more. Like, ask her about herself. Like, don't talk about yourself the whole time. He broke every rule in the book. If he was treating it like a romantic date, that is. Maybe he was just thinking
it's funny
friends.
because, and as I was watching this part of the episode too, I was like, when it's all cool and all that, we're learning a little bit more about Sota, but I was like, is she gonna talk? And then it just ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my question to you guys, did we learn anything new about Sota?
No. He just spun his wheels, man.
Yeah, it felt like a rehash. We learned that he worked in a factory at one point, and that he didn't, like, people say to him like, oh, that's surprising that you worked at a factory, and he's like, oh yeah, I get that all the time, because of, his face is his best feature, I guess.
Right.
He thinks a lot of
attractive.
himself.
We did get some clarification about, like, because he had mentioned before that he worked in the entertainment industry, and I was really confused as to, like, what does that mean exactly? So he was in the entertainment industry for about 2 years, and he said he did, like, some, like, TV dramas and commercials and stuff like that, which that would be really interesting to find. I wonder if that's somewhere on the internet, because, like, I kind of can't imagine him, like, acting, just because I feel like he wouldn't take direction. Like, he would argue with people, like, what's better, or just talk about himself the entire time, like on this date.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's exactly what happened, and he hasn't told us.
That he failed out and then got married as, like, a consolation prize?
The guy likes to talk about himself a lot, and it's like, even when I'm thinking about, he was giving Yui, like, good career advice, in a way he was, like, still, that conversation was revolving around him and, like, his life and his experience. I know he was trying to help her out, but I don't know. He just seems very self-centered in his approach with kind of all his communications. He seems like he's like a showman almost for himself, like when he talks. Like, that's why he's so dramatic with when he talks about his divorce and his kid and all that stuff. It's like this big story, and like the whole room has to be wrapped, in attention when he speaks, kind of thing. So I'm getting a big ego from him.
He's definitely seems to get lost in his own head a lot. I feel like he's a very heady person. I would really I'd be curious to hear what the hell is going on in his head during a lot of these scenes. Because it's just a lot more than what he's saying. I feel like there's just so much commentary happening.
You would hope. Maybe it's just crickets.
I would like to think. I don't know. It could be like me, and it's just a hamster on a wheel running over and over. But
I mean, either that, or it's just like a record player that's like Soda's greatest hits, and like now it's when I was your age, I was divorced.
Yeah, my hit single, my divorce and kid.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I thought about this when we watched the show. Like, this totally reminds me. In this during this date, she says something that was just like a general question, and like his first knee-jerk reaction to answering was like, "So I'm divorced and have a kid." Like, dude, we know. Like, we get it already. Like, he starts every paragraph like that now. Like, hey, what kind of cereal do you like? It's like, so I'm divorced and I have a kid. So Captain Crunch, has a lot. Like, what?
He works at everything.
We get it. It's like Pikachu now. Like, he just
so they have this new cereal. It's called Divorce and Have a Kiddos.
Oh no!
Called Alimonios.
Child Supportos.
Oh my god! I had the thought that, like, because we didn't like, that was the last thing that we learned about him post, like, his moving in, is that came as like a bombshell shock. I'm wondering if he saw the response on social media about, like, were you trying to keep that secret? Like, what was up with that? And now he feels like he has to, like, constantly mention it in order to, like, not be shady, or like maybe he felt like he wasn't, like, selling himself enough as a new member, and now this is the only thing he has to sell himself on, is that, like, dramatic moment that he had with Yui.
And good.
If I had to guess, I think he has a mean streak. In that maybe he did see the social media and all of it was saying like, we get it, dude. You're divorced and have a kid. What else do you have? And now he's like, well, fuck you. That's all I have.
I mean, this comes up, right? Down. When he's talking to Risako, this comes up during this date. Like, he's using that as like a shield in a way. Because she's like, what kind of people do you like to date? And he's like, well, I'm divorced and I have a kid. And boom, boom, boom. You know, like shield, like boom, back up. He's shield like, so anyone that I let into my, emotional, show emotional vulnerability to is going to have to be okay with that. So he's just like, boom, get away. If you're not okay with divorce and kid, then stay, arm's length away. In a way, that's how I got it.
To his credit, though, like that might be one of the few times maybe bringing up the divorce and kid is relevant.
Sure.
I mean, if you're gonna try and date someone, it'd be nice to know if they've already like gotten married, whether they have a kid or not, right?
Yeah. If he says it again, though, it's just like getting past the line of like comical now. Guilty.
I want to see a supercut of every time he says "when I was your age."
I'm sure it'll happen. R/Terrace House, make it happen.
That's another like 3-4 words there that I try and utter as little as possible.
Yeah. And this kind of shows later because the panelists are like, this date sucked. It was like a TED Talk, which TED Talks don't suck. I love TED Talks, but it's like when you as a human being are described as a walking TED Talk, it's not great.
No, it was like reminded me of that Taka and Mayu date. Was that who it was?
Taka.
You mean where Taka is like, he's like, you're the kind of person who frolics around.
Yeah. It's just like a lecture date. It was like a lecture date.
Oh, Taka and Mayu. Yeah.
I don't know. There was some weird energy though with the panelists where they were talking about how Maya doesn't like sex. And maybe this reinforces my theory about how like Japan is a very like, well, of course she likes sex kind of, culture. But they were joking about how maybe we should have Tokui take care of her. And I was like, that's weird.
That was a little strange.
And Tokui's like, he's like, no.
Yeah, at least Tokui had the right reaction. He was like, I mean, that's a joke, right? Like, that's not real.
That was weird. It was a little uncomfortable. I was like, it's a little, okay, sure.
Maybe they were drinking.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't just me who found that weird.
No, that was super, super weird. And that's, an honest issue with like people who identify as asexual, which, we don't really know what Maya's like, what her issue with sex is. If it's deep enough to be like asexual. I mean, that's a problem in, all societies, reckoning with asexuality. It's like, well, you haven't met the right person yet, or you haven't done the right thing yet. Like, it's impossible for that to be a real thing, when it's like, no, I'm pretty sure that's, they know themselves the best. So don't try to correct that.
Isn't that sad though? If she's truly asexual, just never enjoys it like her whole life, I'd feel bad.
I mean, again, though, that's just to her. What makes her happy is something else, not sex, right?
Man. Okay.
Right. She likes just being comfortable, and that's fine.
To use a probably the worst metaphor or idiom for this, different strokes, right?
No strokes.
No strokes. Sometimes no strokes are the best strokes.
Oh my
God. No strokes.
So we cut now to probably the best scene in this show, I think. They're at Surf Skaters, which I guess is some event. And all the house is cheering Kaito on as he skateboards on a pipe. And they are, they're giving him like, hey, it's Kaito, like, this is so cool. And then afterwards, they all reconvene on the sandy shores, are eating food, and like they're congratulating Kaito again.
We just got to leave out the fact that Kaito gets up on that half pipe and then takes his shirt off and does the whole routine shirtless.
Oh, that's true. And
the sun glistening.
He has really lanky arms.
He's a little man. He's diminutive.
It's true.
You don't see him doing any hand plants, that's for sure, with that upper body.
But we get to see an old Aloha State alumnus, Guy Sato.
Yes.
We get to see him skate, like basically just a highlight reel of like, look at this cool motherfucker skate. Surfing. And then he comes and joins the crew and meets everyone.
We were just talking about Guy not that long ago.
Because Kaito is basically Guy.
So, as someone who hasn't watched Aloha State. Explain Guy to me, because he seemed almost a little awkward, like among all the new members, and maybe that's just because you're hanging out with people, or is he always awkward?
He's Pooh Bear.
Yeah, the panelists describe him as Winnie the Pooh. He's adorable.
Oh, bother.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he might have said that at one point, or at least maybe something similar. But what struck me the most in this scene is, like, when I first saw Kaito, my thought was he sounds a lot like Guy. And now actually seeing them next to each other and hearing them next to each other, I'm like, are they clones?
They're like bros. They're like brothers from another mother. They grew up together from childhood.
Yeah, they might as well have grown up in the same house and everything, just the way they act.
Yeah, but Guy, for those of you who don't know from Aloha State, he is a pro surfboarder, much like how Kaito's trying to be a pro skater. And Guy is going for, like, Olympic level stuff. He's been invited to a lot of, like, very high profile surfboarding competitions. So he may or may not be more accomplished in his field than Kaito is.
Yeah, he's just a hell of a surfer. Like, he just rips. I hardly ever, like, you only see him fall off like a handful of times.
Yeah.
Even in all of Aloha State. There
was one couple incidences with him, but I don't want to bring that up until we talk about those episodes. So.
Right, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know why, but I couldn't help but focus on, like, Guy's teeth. It looked like something happened to his teeth.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
I think it's the same as it was before, my man.
Maybe it was. I could just be crazy.
No, I have to.
I don't know. It looked like he might have, like, gotten hit in the teeth or something. I don't know.
Ooh, surfboard to the face.
But he is the same guy that when the panelists were talking about Tetris Bang a few episodes ago, he's that guy. He's the Tetris Bang.
He's the Tetris Bang guy, yeah.
The Tetris Banger.
The Tetris Banger.
They didn't bang, though. There was no banging going on.
There wasn't. Well, does that make Nikki the Tetris Bangy?
Yikes.
God, I don't even remember. I hardly even remember
her. We cut now to...
Moving on.
Dot.
So, yeah. Here's the thing. I was trying to think of, like, oh, well, I think she's memorable, but I couldn't.
Can't really defend that. No.
Looking forward to that.
She was a model.
Looking forward to forgetting her.
Yes. Yeah,
another model.
She was a model. I think.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, it was a thing. It is a thing. Continues to be.
Yes. We cut to the backyard with Aio and Risako, and they're shooting the soccer ball shit.
They're kicking the soccer ball, sports guy.
I was trying to do shooting the shit and try to shove soccer ball in there.
Okay.
Well, you know what, Robert? It didn't work.
It looks like I didn't reach my goal.
Oh.
Got him. So yeah, they're not really playing soccer, but yeah, they're kicking the soccer ball around. They're talking a bit. And Ayo's kind of asking her what she, like, they when they're done kicking the soccer ball around, they sit down and Aio asks her, hey, what do you think of the other guys? And Kaito, she's fine with. He's mature but cute. And Sota, she's like, dude, he's boring.
Yeah, that's rough. When she brings up the date that they went on, and she's just like, yeah, it was just boring. It was awkward. It was like he talked about himself a lot.
She used the words, I felt like I had to be hyper considerate.
That's what it was. Right.
It was all about him versus, like, we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And it's one of those things, though, too, right, where if you're in a situation where you're with a person, especially if they're constantly bringing up this idea of divorce and having a kid, it puts you in that awkward social position where you're like, okay, now I'm walking on eggshells because I don't know what's okay and not okay to talk about, especially when it's someone that she doesn't know that well, like Sota.
Yeah, I think as important as it is to, like, you know, listen to people's problems and be there for them, when someone puts you on the spot and is like, you're my therapist now and I'm just going to dump this emotional load on you and expect you to, you know, be attentive to that, it's not a good feeling to suddenly have to, you know, do that emotional labor that you weren't expecting to do when you were just like, I want to get to know you better. Let's go out to lunch.
Right. And to that point, right, that's what she said to him. Exactly. Like, I don't really know you that well. Let's do lunch this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. And I feel like he took that way too literally. Like, he didn't really think of it as like, this is a dato. This is more like an interrogation where she's going to learn more about me. So I'm just going to talk about myself the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, and he took that the wrong way, I think.
See, what's kind of weird to me, and maybe this is me coming from, like, I've seen this man across multiple social interactions with different people, right? Risako doesn't necessarily have that same insight to pull from, but I feel like I would not want to try to walk around eggshells with him when he says like, "Oh, I'm divorced and have a kid," because that's his stinger. That's his opening line. That's his fucking, I'm going to ram through the doors of social interaction with, "Hi, I'm divorced and have a kid." And when you're leading with that, I cease to feel like, oh, should I not ask questions? Should I ask maybe like light questions? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she does a little bit, not too. I don't think she digs a little bit too deep. I mean, he's basically doing all the talking for her. But at the same time, Risako doesn't really know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's maybe heard it one other time otherwise, but this is the first time she's actually, he's thrown it out there, and then she's in a situation where it's just him and her, and she's not sure if she can dig a little deeper. She's not sure how to proceed, essentially.
Right. But Aio kind of cleans up this social interaction pretty well, where he talks about how his former team, FC Ryukyu, are going to be playing in a game soon, playing a soccer match, right? Is that the right terminology?
Soccer match.
That works. Good job.
Soccer.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah. So they're going to be playing nearby in October, and they both make plans to go see it, which is like, that's a pretty good segue into like what I imagine is a date.
Yes. I don't know how interested she's actually going to be in watching soccer, though. I don't know if she's much of a soccer aficionado. She didn't give that vibe.
Are you saying soccer's boring?
Dab's head with sweat towel.
Yikes.
Care Bear.
With Care Bears.
Warm Bears.
Yeah.
We all thought the same thing.
Care Bear towel.
out there.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm an American. We have a predisposition to where, like, a lot of us, at least in the growing up the Midwest, didn't really care for soccer. Just didn't really have an interest in it.
Man, that's a shame.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. Although I kind of find this funny. So Aio also talks about how his team is basically right now #1 in the country, and I couldn't help but feel like Beatles Pete Best vibes. Like after he got off the team, now it's like, yeah, we're winning, and it's like that really sucks, dude.
They had to free up that salary cap space with him gone.
Basically, I kind of felt bad
Dang.
for him.
Sorry, it's life.
We cut to a little montage in Sendagaya, Tokyo, where we see Risako do a little bit of modeling shots because, of course, we've got to see them work. And I have respect for her, but I am so sick of seeing models do their job because we've seen it so many times on Terrace House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beginning to be a little color by the numbers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I can think of at least 2 in my head, just off the top of my head.
my only thought was that, dang, she is tall. That was it.
Yeah.
Those heels, man. From what I've seen so far in Opening New Doors, because that's the only Terrace House series that I've seen. Like, she feels like much more of like a pro than anyone else that I've seen like modeling. Like her like changing like position and pose like every time that bell rang. Like that was like she's been in this for a while and she knows what she's doing. And it was pretty cool for me to see like her work that.
Yeah, and I mean, she's been doing it for 7 years, right? I imagine to be a model for that long, you either need to pick up the skills or you're not getting your job.
That's
anymore.
a long time in that industry too, to be in front of the camera. That's a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 years, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we cut to Shinshu Miso Ramen Benke in Nagano with Aio and Maya, where they're having a little bit of a dinner. I don't think it's a date. Doesn't feel like a date, but also kind of does.
He was
Not really
I think he was trying to feel her out, like not literally, but like trying to feel out what, her emotions.
Yeah. And at first Maya's like, I don't see any signs of romance in the house, but then she's like really playful and like, maybe I'll tell you when I get drunk.
And I took that as maybe she liked him and she needed to be a little sauced up to let her guard down, but I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see anything past that, right? I mean, they sit down, they drink, they eat. Oh, we also find out that Aio smokes, so there's that.
Yeah, that was interesting to see.
Oh, I forgot that part. No, we find out that
it lasts like 2 seconds.
the takeaway I got from that, didn't she say she's got her eye on Kaito? That's what I thought happened.
Yeah. She said that she has her eye on Kaito, but she also knows that Kaito has his eyes on Yui. But
She
also,
thinks she
I
knows,
mean, yeah. But then also we know as the audience that Kaito was very taken by Risako when she first entered the house. So kind of who knows what's going through Kaito's mind right now, right?
Yeah, but he told Maya that he thinks she's pretty too, right to her face, and she wasn't receptive. She's like, whatever. Blah.
Yeah,
like, you think everyone's
it puts the whole like playroom interaction between her and Kaito before in like a weird context. Like if she, because it still doesn't feel like she's really that into him, but yet she's like being like, oh, I'm into him, but I know he likes Yui. So maybe she's kind of already in the process of like, oh, that ship has sailed. I'm not expecting anything from that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong too, but isn't it necessarily like she didn't say that she's gunning for Kaito, but it's just like she feels the most comfortable around Kaito?
Yeah.
Which
that's
is
she
like
did say
usually
that.
Yeah, which is usually the guy she ends up falling for, right? Is whoever she's most comfortable with.
If what she said is to be believed, yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I wonder if we're gonna get more jealousy moves like we did out of Maya before. Like there was a couple times when she was being a little bit, I don't know, like she was wearing a jealousy on her face when she was like picking Yui and Kaito's brain about their skate date.
Yeah, it's true. But here we also see Aio shooting his shot, right?
Whoa.
What?
Nothing. Never mind.
Stop.
Okay.
He said it.
Well, I was thinking like soccer shoot. Damn it. So Maya is kind of like, there's no way I could be a model. And Aio is fucking laying it thick with like, with your looks, I'd be a model. I'd try so hard to be a model, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, dude, okay, like, we get it. You like her.
Yeah, just slathering that shit on there, like laying it on thick.
Right. And I mean, like we were just saying, Risako is very impressive with her modeling chops, right? So it's like Maya is kind of saying, hey, I might talk to Risako, get some tips from her, which is like, I hope that actually pans out into something, because it's always nice seeing younger Terrace House members learn something from older ones.
Yeah.
We don't see that often enough.
Yeah, it always makes for a nice scene. And I think this date is pretty nice. Like it's clear that Risako is like very much enjoying herself. She's smiling a lot, and her and Aio are having a good time.
You mean Maya?
Or wait, what did I say?
You said Risako. Okay, never mind.
I'm talking about the workout date. I think I skipped ahead.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the workout date then.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. So I guess let's build a bridge to get there, right? So in the kitchen, Aio and Risako plan on making that workout date a thing, and they get ready to go. And while they're leaving, it's just Kaito and Yui in the kitchen. And this is actually kind of cool, where Yui's saying, hey, I'm going to go see Shohei's band at the Apple Music Fest.
Yeah, just casually throws out like Apple Music Fest. Yeah. Just whatever.
It's at a grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, actually, I'm not, like, is it confirmed it's like the Apple?
No,
I don't think it is.
Because they're using, because if it was Apple Macintosh, then they'd just say like Apparu, but they're saying Ringo, which is the Japanese word for apple. So I think it's more in line with like, maybe there's an orchard there. Maybe it's like a different brand. I don't think it's Apple.
We'll find out, I guess.
Well, yeah, because I mean, when I was listening to it, I don't remember hearing Apparu in any way. And I don't know the Japanese word for apple,
Ringo.
but I figured, yeah, exactly. But I figured I would have heard Apparu or something, or maybe just like Steve Jobs just being dropped. I don't know.
Steve Jobs. It's his music fest. That's where he actually went. He faked his death so that he could do Japanese music fests.
Everyone in the crowd is cosplaying as Steve Jobs.
Hologram of Steve Jobs performance confirmed with Shohei. She was. Let's fuck this shit up.
They do a duet. Oh, that'd be amazing. They do a duet. And we cut to the panelists, and they are talking about how the Aio Maya date was very like almost too hip for them at this point.
Cool kids. They're the cool
Unrelatable.
kids.
You know what?
They're too cool.
Let me say this. I was thinking this during this date too. And okay, I feel like this is justified in saying this. It is going to sound a little ignorant, so prepared. But when I eventually go to Japan, okay, I just have this picture in my head of what I see in like travel channels and like and things, and Japan is historically like one of the most what's the word, like
homogenous.
Thank you, homogenous societies in the world, where everyone kind of dresses, looks the same, tall nail gets the hammer, etc. No one really wants to stick out. So when I think to myself, hey, I'm going to go to Japan and be a tourist and shit and go to a restaurant, I was thinking during their date, Aio and Maya's date, I was like, I would not expect to look over and see an African Japanese person and a Singali and Japanese person talking and speaking Japanese.
Sri Lankan?
Sri Lankan, sorry. I thought it was Senegal. Anyways, yeah, Sri Lanka. And it's just like, it was cool. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I just never would have thought I would have seen that. I would have seen just kind of Japanese people everywhere. So I just thought that was neat. So maybe, I don't know, it was cool.
No, I think that's fair, because I think one of the problems with Japan being such a homogenous nation is that then people who are mixed or foreign kind of get like almost fetishized. And like, that's like cool. Like, that's why, you know, people are so upfront on Terrace House to ask like, oh, are you hafu? Like, was your like mom American or whatever? It's like almost trendy, which like good in the terms of like being accepting of that. But at the same time, that comes with its own like prejudices and expectations that aren't necessarily fair.
Yeah, like Aio getting asked, do you play football or something like that?
He's like, do you play basketball?
Oh, basketball. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, man. Japan is so great, but can be so racist sometimes. Yeah. But now we cut to the Risako and Aio gym date.
Yeah, the one that I precariously jumped to for some reason. I don't know why. My brain was doing the connections.
Yeah, and I think the most interesting part of this date was actually the car ride to the gym. Because that's where a lot of the like flirtatiousness happens.
Fireworks were starting to pop off, little pop.
Oh yeah, like Ayo's asking like, oh hey, what kind of guys do you like, Risako? And you know, she says, well, like I'm feel the most comfortable with you right now in the house. It's like, hey,
I don't know if comfortable. I mean, maybe Daly, you can comment this, but I don't know if like if someone said that to me, I don't know if I take that as just because someone's comfortable doesn't mean they like think of you romantically.
I can see where that almost is actually like against, like not in his favor in the terms of like, oh, I see you as like a brother or a friend.
Right.
But simultaneously, I mean, if we go off of, and this wasn't Risako that said this was Maya, but she was like, I date the people that I'm most comfortable with. And maybe that also applies to Risako, because she had said before we knew who she was, like that she doesn't have necessarily like a particular type. She likes tall guys. I think that was the thing, because she's pretty tall, and Aio is very tall, but that she, you know, just whoever winds up pursuing her, she winds up going out with.
And to that point too, to bring that up, I really think that Aio is, from what we know of Risako, is really kind of her only option if she's going to date someone of the three guys in the house, because she already had that moment with Sota, and we all know how that ended up. And she's never considered Kaito. I don't think even for a second, romantically. So
which I'm glad for.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, she's going to be, well, if I'm going to, you know, if it's going to be anybody, it might be Aio. And I'm saying, guys, there was some sensuality in those workouts. There absolutely was. Like that one where she's on her back and she's kicking up her legs and he's like pushing them down at angles and she's like down there looking up at him. Like that's not
like you just described a sex position.
That's not a workout that just friends do. I mean, there's some intimate views there. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it even kind of ends on more flirtatious notes, right? Because Risako asks Aio like, "Hey, what kind of girl do you like?" And he says, "I like when they smile, their face scrunches up," and then she smiles and her face scrunches up.
My eyes kind of disappear, don't they? Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, they end that date very positively. They're like, "Hey, yeah, let's like get together again." You know, like the fact that Aio can drive, like that's a good excuse for him to see her again, which was like a cute little moment. And I'm just in this weird place where I don't really know who or what I'm rooting for anymore on this show.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for. I'm actually rooting for Yui and Kaito. Thank you. Too many names. And that's kind of all I'm rooting for.
You know, I just don't know that I'm like thinking back on it. I just don't think I'm that invested in any of these characters yet.
Yeah, it's a little shallow still. We don't feel like we know other than
these members rather. But
Sota has a divorce and a kid. That's the only thing that's like ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, pretty much. Right. I mean, Kaito's cool, right? He's a skater kid, whatever. And you know, Maya Maya's cool, but she like I don't know. We don't know that much about any of them yet. I feel like we don't know them that well as people.
Maya's very shallow. Not she's shallow, but like what I know of her, I just don't know a lot.
Yeah, I definitely I feel the most attached to Yui just because I've known her the longest, and like I'm not even necessarily invested in like what happens with her romantically. Like I want to see her get into a career that she likes, and like she's, you know, trying to figure things out, and I think that's super relatable for a wide demographic that's watching Terrace House.
Yeah, and this is pretty like this was kind of a typical episode of Terrace House too. It was like pretty slow. Overall, I felt like the pace of this episode just felt relatively slow moving.
When it was starting to get good was when it ended. I was so mad. I couldn't believe they ended it right there. I was like, no, because we're watching one episode then doing a spoiler cast on it. It's like, this is my stopping point now.
Then how about we wrap this show up so that way we can all go home and watch the next episode.
I hope the momentum carries over. The momentum needs to carry over here.
Yes.
With them.
Our next episode is going to be on January 1st, New Year's Day. Get hyped.
This was the penultimate episode before the end of part 5.
Yes. I don't know about you guys, but my New Year's resolution is to listen to Tadaima, Terrace House Podcast, and yours should be too.
Yay.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug of our own show. Yeah, the last episode, like Colin said, is going to be the last one in part 5. And then we're going to cover part 6 when that drops in international Netflix. So get excited, but also sorry for the delays, maybe.
Yeah, February, March-ish.
Yeah. We're still going to be posting episodes between the part 5 spoiler cast ones and up to part 6. So we're not going to leave you hanging, and we'll let you know what those are going to be on the next episode, which will be January 1st.
We are your weekly companion. Your weekly companion to Terrace House. We ain't going nowhere.
Thank you, Jack. Jack, do you want to tell them about the podcast? You want to tell them about the podcast, the contest?
Please do this contest, guys. We need your help. Please help us out. We need you to follow us on Instagram, Tadaimagram. Follow us on Twitter, Tadaima Pod, and then we need reviews. Help us get these iTunes reviews up, or anywhere else you can leave a review, whatever platform, podcast, download thing, whatever you're using. Just leave us a review if you can. iTunes are always really appreciated, though, just because that helps us out gaining visibility and just, you know, building this audience. And so we appreciate everyone that's come on so far, and all the people from around the world, again, you know, in Germany and Australia and Japan, and everyone that's listening. We appreciate you guys, and just help us spread the word, and let's not keep Terrace House our kind of awesome dirty secret. Like let's grow the community.
Is Terrace House a dirty secret?
A secret. I don't know. Let's just get it. Let's just make this big. Come on.
Yeah.
Big things.
If you think we missed anything in this episode, let us know. We'd love to read it out loud on the show. You can email us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com. This has been Tadaima. Thanks for listening. Itakimasu. Email us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at Tadaimagram and on Twitter at TadaimaPod. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Tadaima, a Terrace House podcast.